WWENetworkNews.com had a report this week about WWE sending out a new fan survey that gives us a glimpse into some possible new programming on the network. I thought I would run through this here because there's a few ideas that caught my eye that I'm very interested in, and there's at least one idea that I have pitched on this podcast many years ago. So let's just run through these lists of ideas here. This list of ideas, I should say. WWE Now Live. This would be a live morning show where Solomonster eulogizes famous wrestlers. No, I'm kidding. This would be a live morning show covering WWE topics, probably the way they do on that WWE This Week show. I don't really have any need for this. I mean, some people might. I guess if you wake up before work or school and you want to watch a WWE-themed live morning show, then I guess this is right up your alley. But of all the things they could pay to do live, this is not on my list. The history of FCW. They describe this as the story of FCW and its transformation into NXT. So this reads like it would either be a documentary or maybe a documentary series. They did something, like a documentary series like that Breaking Ground show that they had. Maybe it's spread out over several episodes and it's not just one sort of long special. They do own the FCW library, so at some point I would imagine we'll have access to all of those old episodes. I think a look at the history of the promotion would be cool, especially given some of the names that pass through there. All three Shield members have roots in that promotion. Rollins and Ambrose obviously wrestled independently before that, but there is a Shield triple threat match before they were ever the Shield. And I'm trying to think if Roman Reigns had the Roman Reigns name at that point, or if he was still, I think he was still using the Leia Key name. This is before they changed him over to Roman Reigns. But there is a Shield triple threat from back in the day floating around online with all three members that I am sure will make its way into a WrestleMania video package one day, maybe next year. If we get a Shield triple threat for the Universal title, we'll probably see footage of that old match worked into there somehow. Documentaries focused specifically on big names like The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and Shawn Michaels. Sounds good to me. Superstar/superfan. And then as an example, they list Kevin Owens, reflecting on his time as a superfan. See, I hear that. I don't think something like that would keep my attention for more than 10 minutes. So this might be something better off as like a new YouTube series on their YouTube channel. Xavier's Arcade Challenge. Xavier Woods takes his love of retro gaming to the finest bar and arcades in the country and challenges the WWE Universe in one-on-one competition. There was a Table for Three episode that aired, it was only a few weeks ago, I think it was last month, with Xavier Woods, Zack Ryder, and Matt Hardy. Very good episode, by the way. You should all check it out. They talk about their own gaming and social media shows, and Matt talks about the broken gimmick and conceiving of that, and Zach talks about the old Z True Long Island Story YouTube show that he put together. They even have unaired footage of one episode of Zach's show that WWE, once they kind of took the show over on their own YouTube channel, that WWE refused to air. This was after they forced him to move it to their YouTube channel, or else he wasn't going to be allowed to do it anymore. So there's your example right there of WWE. They caught on to the popularity of the show, and they understandably wanted to tap into that somehow, but then they just stifled, this poor guy's creativity by basically giving him an ultimatum and say, either you move it to our channel and play by our rules, or you're not going to be allowed to do it anymore, which is completely ridiculous, because who is he harming? Who was he? He even said on the show, I only did it because I wanted to get attention and get myself on television more. Once WWE caught wind of it, they wanted him to do a weekly show, on their channel. And he said, you can't just force me to do a show every single week of a certain length because I did it just to get attention. And that was sort of the joke. The joke was that I couldn't get their attention. And once he finally did, he says all of his ideas sort of ran dry, and WWE was kind of making him miserable over it. But anyway, on that episode, Xavier's on there as well. He talks about pitching this very idea for like an arcade show for the network, where he hits bars and arcades all over the country. And as he's talking about this, in the corner of the screen, they're showing footage of him at bars and arcades, and in the corner, there's a logo that says Xavier's Arcade Challenge with the words "coming soon." So I think this one is a done deal. This looks like it's finally being greenlit. And it sounds pretty cool. I think if you're into his Up, Up, Down, Down channel, this is probably something you would enjoy. WWE Cheat Day with Becky Lynch. WWE superstars work hard and train harder. See what they do on their cheat day as Becky Lynch and Charlotte indulge at one of Becky's favorite breakfast eateries. Oops. Well, that's awkward. I'd say pass on that one. Fashion Police / Unsolved Mysteries. Tyler Breeze and Fandango attempt to crack the case of numerous unsolved mysteries that have eluded the WWE Universe over the years. So, hey, maybe we'll finally get to find out what was in the briefcase that Jimmy Snuka claimed Vince McMahon had on him when he went to go talk to the cops, days after Snuka's mistress turned up dead. I bet they won't cover that. I'm going to bet they won't cover that. House Hardy Halloween special. This is the one that I'm looking forward to the most, and I hope it gets made. Go inside the wonderful world of the Hardy family in this delightful short-form scripted sitcom featuring Matt and Jeff Hardy. You know, if they leave Matt and his crew to their own devices and have like a 10 or 15 minute sitcom, you know, like the length of something you would see on Adult Swim, I'd be all in on that. I think that sounds great. The survey also asked if people would be interested in seeing NXT UK on the network. Now, they've already been airing coming soon vignettes about the show on the network. My assumption is they just haven't been able to find a home elsewhere for it on television in the UK. It's kind of like Legends House. When they created the Legends House reality show, they were shopping that thing around to A&E and different cable channels here in this country. Bravo, there were rumors at the time that they were in discussions with Bravo about maybe airing the show. Nobody was interested. So what happened? Legends House ended up airing on the WWE Network. I suspect that the same thing will probably end up happening with NXT UK. They've already got 12 episodes in the can, all filmed and ready to go. So my guess is within the next 2 or 3 months, that's going to end up on the network. This was an interesting question. Would you be more likely to watch the weekly NXT series if it aired live every week on the network in the United States? I already watch NXT every single week, as you know, since I review the show on the show every single week. So I personally don't care that much if it's live or taped. If you gave me a choice, yes, I would prefer that it be live, because that would cut down on all of the spoilers that leak out from Full Sail, like when there's a big title change, like when Tommaso Ciampa won the championship a few months ago. That would have been cool if it aired live and nobody expected to see an NXT title change on TV. But of course it leaked immediately when there's a big debut, when there's a big return. So yes, I don't think it's necessary, but I would not mind it at all for that reason. Would you be interested in future WWE Network specials like Starrcade? Now, if you remember, they resurrected Starrcade as a gimmick for a house show last year, the weekend after Thanksgiving. That was the show that had Charlotte and Natalya in the cage for the SmackDown Women's title. They were in Greensboro, which is Horseman country. It's Flair country, so it was a special thing. Probably the first time a Flair was in a cage at Starrcade since 83, right? Would it be 80? Oh, no, wait, no, it wouldn't be 83. 87. 87, yes. He wrestled Ronnie Garvin in 87 in a cage match. So, yeah, probably the first time a Flair was in a cage at Starrcade since 1987. So that would have been 20 years when that happened last year. 20 years. Now, a lot of people complained at the time, why didn't they air this on the network? This is stupid. It's Starrcade. Why isn't this televised? Well, it looks like if they do it again, it might be this time. And then came the question about whether or not people would be interested in seeing live events with no commentary and no storyline involvement. Although that's not really true, right? I mean, the house shows, they do follow some of the storylines, but they're saying no storyline implications, like you get week to week on television. Judging by some of these storylines on television of late, I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. So the question is basically, would you want to watch house shows on the network? Now, I first pitched this idea years and years ago. Even if just My idea at the time was you could air house shows, but it doesn't even have to be house shows, like full house shows every single week. Maybe it's only special house shows in big cities or big venues from time to time, once or twice a month, and then you have live cut-ins from the building at other shows, just as a way to promote the live events. You know, kind of like the odd title change that you see at a house show, just to show people when WWE comes to town, if you're on the fence about going, you should go and not take for granted that nothing ever happens, because sometimes things do happen. And I just thought airing certain shows on the network could help do the same. I support this idea. I think they should do it. And the best part about it, no commentary. All they need to do now is just run with the other idea that I've been pitching for years, which is the option to mute the commentary on the main shows. Or the pay-per-views, at least. An off switch, if you will. Don't tell me it's not possible. I don't want to hear it. If we could put a fucking man on the moon, we could have the option of putting Cole and Saxton on mute. And then they had the obligatory question at the end, what other promotions do you watch? And it's the usual suspects: Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, PWG, and New Japan. I would not read much into that. They still haven't added Progress or ICW to the network, and they already have working relationships with those two promotions. And it's been rumored for at least a year now, and they're still not on the network. I would not hold my breath on seeing any of these other ones on the network anytime soon.